So when it comes to these quotation questions on the SAT reading and writing section, there is both an easy way to get them wrong, but also a pretty reliable and systematic way to get them right. And when I say an easy way to get them wrong, I mean there is a very typical sort of trap answer that you're going to find on these questions. And so we're going to read the whole passage here, but to show what I mean by that trap, if we look at the claim that we're trying to support, in this case the art historian's claim, the idea that she intentionally defied the norms of the time in her advocacy and creative choices. So if you just read that part and say, oh, intentionally defied the norms, and then you scan over to the answer choices and you see something like defying societal norms and go, hey, that's a match, and you pick B, that's the easy way to get it wrong, because that is the trap. The trap is picking something that borrows very specific words right out of the prompt. And why would that be a trap? Let's think about it. These questions fall under the category of information and ideas. They're not questions that ask you to scan for keywords in the passage and match them up with words in the answer choice. We want to find matches or correspondences, but they're not going to be the exact same word because the SAT just doesn't make it that easy. So let's step back, read the whole passage, and talk about that reliable way to get the right answer. Okay, so in addition to her innovative artistic techniques, this sculptor was known for using her art to challenge societal expectations in the 1930s. During her career, she not only created powerful works of art, but also worked tirelessly to elevate the position of African American artists in the art world. An art historian has claimed that Savage intentionally defied the norms of the time, not just in general, but in her advocacy and creative choices. Okay, so that reliable and systematic method for getting the answer choices right, well, I wish I had a fancier or catchier term for it, but I'm just going to call it the two things method. And what are those two things? They're two parts of our claim that we want our correct answer to connect to. Why two? Just in my experience, that's what it takes. That's what it takes, because a lot of times you're going to find half-right answers that do one of these two things, but not both. Okay, so we're going to go through the answers and match them up. So starting with A, her sculptures often depicted everyday people in a way that emphasized their dignity and humanity, earning her widespread acclaim among critics and audiences alike. We could say that this one goes over 2 in the sense that it doesn't talk about defying the norms, and it doesn't talk about really her advocacy and creative choices. It talks about her work. Okay, B, she was the first African-American woman accepted into a prestigious art school in Paris, an achievement she credited to her persistence and talent in defying societal norms. Okay, so again, I noted previously that this one is the trap. The clue that it's a trap has to do with the exact words being plucked out of the passage, out of the claim, but the reason why it actually doesn't work is that it doesn't say anything about defying norms in her advocacy and creative choices. It doesn't give any evidence that she did that. It just says that she credited this achievement to the fact that she did that. Okay, so for the green portion, her advocacy and creative choices, I'm going to say this gets an X because it doesn't connect with that part. Okay. C, through her leadership, she opened a gallery where African American artists could display their work, challenging the exclusionary practices of the art world at that time. Okay, so more subtle than B, but also a lot more correct than B. So what is the match here? Well, her advocacy, if you advocate for someone, you support them. And so if she is providing a place for other artists to display their work, that gives us information about her advocacy and creative choices. And then if she was challenging the exclusionary practices of the art world, well, practices are norms. And if she challenged those things, she defied them. And so that gives us our match there. And we have our two things, our two portions. We could look at D, but that has really nothing to do with it. That's not a very competitive answer. But usually it's going to come down to something like this, where you have your correct answer, and then you have your trap answer. The trap answer is going to go word for word, and maybe even be half right, but more importantly, it's going to be half wrong.